other big story that we have to concentrate today is that the CPSE ETF, the ETF of public sector companies, is to list on the exchanges today. Sundeep Sikka, Executive Director and CEO of Rel Nippon Life Asset Management, joins us now to give us details of this fund. Sundeep, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. Well, if you can start by telling us what the reception has been, acceptance has been for this fund, and what we can look forward to.
Morning, Lata. Thanks for having me. I think firstly, it's been an honor and a privilege to be associated with Ministry of Finance, largest disinvestment program in recent times. I think the kind of response we have got, we are overwhelmed by the kind of response. I think the issue size was 4,500 with the green shoe option of 1,500 crores. And I think we have in all mobilized about 13,800 crores and from more than 2,80,000 investors. I think what is more interesting is I think the quality of response that we have got. I mean, the anchor book, which was 1,800 crores, we got a subscription of about 6,000 crores, all money coming from foreign institutional investors, domestic institutions, and the main book, I mean, which was totally subscribed by retail as well as the pension money, both coming from public and the private sector. I think the quality of response clearly shows that I think that we have achieved twin objective of the Ministry of Finance. Both A has been the disinvestment and B also the financial inclusion, because we have not seen the kind of retail response that we have seen coming from more than 300 to 400 cities and towns, small investors coming in ETF. I think this has never happened before. So I think we are expecting, I mean, this is a starting of a new trend. We are retail investors who've never been coming to ETFs till now. I think this is going to be starting of the ETFs success story in India.
Sundeep, good morning. Of course, this was already listed. This was the follow-on issue, and we have seen a big rally in the CPSE ETF. You said you look forward to, more partnership with the government. Would it be fair to assume that this would be the preferred route from here on?
Yeah, again, I think that I would let government answer this, but broadly, I think the success of this clearly shows. I think this seems to be a successful route for the government, and the kind of response, I think in a short period of 3 days, the 6,000 crores that we have raised, I think this is a far more convenient and preferred route for the government going forward.
Okay, Sundeep, hi, morning. By when do you see these companies outperform?
And also the fact that...
Yeah, please go ahead, please go ahead.
No, and again, I think if you were to see, I mean, this is the second follow-up offering. I think I'm sure in times to come, disinvestment will always remain an important part for the government. And seeing the success and the kind of retail participation, I'm sure this is going to be one of many more ETF offerings which is going to be coming from the government.
Okay, I was asking you about the kind of growth that you see for these companies and, compared to the Nifty, by when do you think that these companies as a whole, this basket, could sort of either perform in tandem with the Nifty or even outperform it?
So if you were to look at, I think while I will not be able to talk about the future, but I think if you were to look at the last 1 year or the last 5 years, I mean, this basket, the CPSE ETF has been able to beat the Nifty by about 15 to 20%. I was looking at the today morning's number. I mean, the CPSE ETF over the last 1 year has given a return in excess of 30% compared to Nifty of about 13 to 14%. And even if you were to look at the last 5 years, ever since this issue CPSE has been launched, I think there has been outperformance about 10%. So again, if you were to look at it, I mean, if you look at the basket, all these stocks which are there, I think it constitutes of the industries which are required to grow for India to keep growing at the rate of 8%, 8.5%. So and all the companies, respective companies, are the leaders in those sectors. So we expect, I mean, if the India growth story will continue, which we believe it will continue, these companies and the sectors will do well. So I think we clearly expect these companies and also take into account whether from a valuation perspective and a dividend yield. The Nifty today has a dividend yield of 1.5% compared to this basket has a dividend yield of in excess of 4%. So we expect, I think, the outperformance from this basket in going forward also.
Okay. Sorry. The one technical question that I wanted to ask was, since 100% allocation was to retail and they got 5% discount, is there a case of near-term supply pressure, purely because you already got 5% discount? So could we have some bit of supply issue?
Again, I think I will not like to comment on that. But the way I see, I mean, whenever you get retail investors and you see majority of the issues being, you know, a firm allotment to retail and the balance has been given to provident funds, I think clearly all these are long-term investors. Even if you see some kind of a pressure over the next few days, I think it will stabilize because the underlying basket seems to be very good. So I think we do not expect, you know, I mean, we expect the most of the investors to be long-term, and whatever supply, I mean, oversupply that you're seeing today or the next few days, I think this is a temporary phenomena.
Okay, well, Sundeep, I had the same question that Anuj had, but from a slightly longer term. If the investors are to expect regular tranches coming from the government in terms of units, then that itself will be an overhang, won't it?
Yeah, I think, I mean, like I mentioned, that is, I think it will be better for the government to answer that question. But again, I think I clearly expect, you know, I think, I mean, disinvestment has been an important part for every, if you see every union budget, I mean, disinvestment has been a part of that. So I think we clearly see, I think, through ETFs will help government to achieve that objective. Now, how and what amount, I think, like I said, that's better for, I mean, that question should be directed to the government more than us.
No, I take your point. This is the government's decision, but to be fair, they've put in some very high-performing PSUs in that list, and therefore the performance as well is assured. Sundeep, do stay on for a bit. We want to ask you